The spiritual awakening journey is such a profound experience that it transforms you from who you thought you were to who you truly are. It takes you from your perceived identity, from your matrix identity, to your real, true, authentic identity. Today, we're discussing the 6 stages of spiritual awakening and how it unfolds. But before we get into the message, I'd like to take a moment to say hello and welcome to everyone. If you're new here, I go by the name Inspired Seeker, and on this channel, we discuss spirituality, personal development, and narcissism. So if any of that appeals to you, or if you feel called to, then by all means join us, and I promise you will not regret that decision. Spiritual awakening is essentially a call to higher consciousness and true deeper awareness. Okay. Now, we have 2 main types of awakening, and up until about 2020 forward, the majority of people who experience spiritual awakening were as a result of some form of trauma. Okay. The 2 types of awakenings are spontaneous awakenings, which is known as Satori awakenings, and then the second one is trauma-based awakenings, which is Kensho. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, up until recently, the majority of people who were experiencing spiritual awakenings were experiencing Kensho awakenings, which is awakening through trauma, awakening through pain, or growth through pain. Okay. Now, in recent years, there's been a lot of mass awakenings around the world. A lot of individuals reported having Satori awakenings as well, which is regular, spontaneous awakenings. There's no external factors, just boom. You're sitting there doing your everyday thing, and then bam, light bulb, you awaken. So let's dig a bit deeper into what Satori and Kensho are, right? Satori is a spontaneous awakening. There's a lot more people experiencing Satori awakenings. And this awakening is not brought on by any form of trauma or any type of external factor. It's simply when you're doing your normal everyday activities, and then bam, you get a light bulb moment. You suddenly awaken. Okay, spontaneously, you awaken. All right. And then we have Kensho. Okay, Kensho is essentially when your awakening is brought on by some form of pain, some form of traumatic event. Okay, now this could be from a loss of loved ones, a loss of a business, a loss of a marriage, let's say, a tragic accident. All right, it's essentially brought on by some form of traumatic event, and once the event happens and you're going through the pain of that event, at some point you will be triggered awake. Okay, for me personally, it was my maternal grandmother. She passed away during the COVID time, and it wasn't long after she passed that I experienced my awakening while I was going through all that pain. Okay, so now that we know what the 2 types of awakenings are, Satori, which is some spontaneous awakenings, and Kensho, awakening through pain or growth through pain. All right. Now that we know the difference between the 2, let's dive into the 6 stages of spiritual awakening and how they unfold. Whether you experienced Satori moment or a Kensho moment, one thing remains constant, all right, which is the process or the stages of the awakening, how the awakening will unfold afterwards. All right. So the first step is the trigger. Okay, the trigger or the switch. All right. Imagine the light switch in your house. When you flick the light on, imagine that you've been triggered awake, either spontaneously or by some form of external event. Most of the time, before the trigger, you may go through a period of time leading to the trigger. You may go through a period of time where you're questioning. Okay, you're questioning your reality. You're questioning that there's more to life than this. There has to be more to life than this. Okay, life seemed meaningless to you all of a sudden. You've become bored with life suddenly, right? And so you questioning that there's more to my reality than this. All right, I didn't just come here to work and pay bills and die. There has to be a lot more than that. Okay, and so this is the lead up or the build up to your awakening. All right. And once your bulbs go on, this is when you are officially awakened. When you start to realize that indeed there is more to life than what meets the eye. When you start to realize that indeed you were right. There's a whole nother world out there that you are essentially living in an illusion, and there's a lot more to life than you thought. So that is the switch or the trigger. Okay, whether it was some form of external event or whether it was spontaneous, it will happen the same way. You just, like I said, the light switch analogy that I used, you've been turned on. Okay, so now you wide awake, you are becoming aware of a lot more things. Stage 2 is the bliss phase or the euphoria phase. Okay, this is the phase where you start to become aware of what's really out here in the world. Okay, you start to feel connected to everything around you. You start to feel connected to God. You start to feel very, very connected, deeply connected. You start to feel deeply all of your emotions, okay, especially the positive emotions. You just start to feel good. All right, that's why it's called bliss, because you don't feel sad, you don't feel pain. Okay, you just feel good. No matter what you were going through prior to the switch, prior to the awakening, the moment you awaken, you become a totally different person, because you start to feel so connected to everything in the world. You start to feel so connected to everything around you, and you start to feel connected to God. Okay, so it's like you are basking in a field of love. So you feel no pain, you feel no trauma, you don't feel anything. For me personally, after I went through the whole experience with my grandmother and I awakened, the next day I felt no pain. From that day forth, I felt no pain. I was not sad. I was just like a different person. And so it was like, how could I go from crying myself to sleep and then overnight I'm a totally different person, happy-go-lucky, hee-hee-ha. It's not that my grandmother's death was not real. Yes, it's real, and yes, I acknowledge it, and yes, I'm aware of it, but I gained this sudden understanding that it's part of life, it's part of the process, and so I should not be sad, okay? And so that's what happens at the second stage, guys. You just feel connected. You just feel good. You just feel loved. You just feel like you in a lovely embrace of God, right? And so you feel no pain. You feel no sadness. Just everything is happy-go-lucky. Everything is blissful. Everything is euphoric. You feel a lot of great emotions. You feel connected to everything. You feel the oneness, the true meaning of oneness. This is where your awareness begins to grow, right? Your awareness, suddenly now you become aware that yes, indeed, there's more to life than you thought. You become aware of repeating numbers. Some of us call it angel numbers, right? These are numbers shown to us as a form of guidance. These numbers have been around us all along. Truth is that we weren't aware before. And so once we become aware after awakening, now we can begin to understand what's happening. So we are growing aware of things that's been happening around us all along. And it feels like you are waking up from a deep sleep, essentially, right? It seems like all of these things that have been a part of your life, that have been a part of your universe, but you weren't aware of, it's like you were numb to it, you were asleep to it. Now you are waking to all of it, and it's all starting to become clear to you. Okay, you become aware of synchronicities or repeating numbers, angel numbers. You start to become aware of how the universe guides you. Okay, you start receiving messages, you start receiving confirmations, you start receiving guidance. Okay, and so this is the second phase of the spiritual awakening journey. Okay, the bliss phase or the euphoria phase. All right, you just feel good, you feel great about everything. You start to feel deeply all of these great emotions. You just start to feel connected to everything around you. You start to feel connected to God, and then you start to understand the true meaning of oneness. The bliss phase will last maybe a month or maybe several months, and then it will slowly disappear from your reality. Okay, and then you come face to face with stage 3. Stage 3 is the dark night. Okay, the dark night of the soul, or as I rather call it, death and rebirth. The bliss phase from stage 2, all that good feeling will slowly dissipate as you transition into stage 3. This is when your soul brings up everything that needs to be healed in this lifetime. Everything that your soul desires to heal in this lifetime will come to the surface for you to address. Okay, and so the bliss will gradually dissipate while you begin your healing, while you go into the healing. All right, so now you will begin the healing process by coming face to face with these things. Okay, now these things could be your own traumas, and sometimes they could go all the way to your ancestry. All right, it could be all the way to your ancestral traumas. Some of us experience this in different ways depending on the life you've lived or the life that your ancestors lived. All right, because sometimes it could be your own trauma, or sometimes it could be your trauma plus those who came before you but couldn't heal their trauma. You'll be going all the way back to heal those. All right, but this is dependent on your soul. If your soul decides that it's a trauma that needs to be addressed now in this lifetime, then you will become the person to do it. Okay, so it will surface all of these things for you to address. Now, this, like I said, could be your experiences, your traumatic experiences from this lifetime or your previous lifetimes. It could go all the way back to your ancestry. And the idea is to heal and release these experiences, heal and release these traumas, because what they're doing is they're serving as blockages in your growth. Okay, they're serving as blockages in the growth of your lineage. Okay, so the idea is to heal these traumas and release them to open the doorway for your ancestry or for your lineage to continue growing. Okay, this could be some kind of toxic cycle. Okay, maybe alcoholism or maybe divorces. Okay, it could be a family whom they cannot stay married. Okay, there's always somebody going through a divorce. All right, you may be the one selected to break that. Okay, you're gonna heal that, and then you're gonna open the way for that family or for those who come in behind you to be able to live a normal life. It could be financial burdens also. Okay, you may be the one fit enough to break it. Okay, and as you break it, as you heal and address this, you open the way for your lineage. You open the way for those coming behind you to be able to prosper. Okay, so this is the dark night of the soul, guys, and this could be years, guys. Okay, this could be months to years, depending on how much trauma that your soul decides that you need to heal. Some people go through this, others don't, and some people go through it multiple times. It all depends on how many lifetimes and how much trauma you have to heal, and all of those things. Okay, and how much trauma is in your family lineage. Okay, so that's stage 3, guys, the dark night of the soul, or death and rebirth. Okay, and the reason I call it death and rebirth is essentially the old you is dying. As you bring these things to the surface and you heal and purge them, the old you is dying, right? Your old self is essentially dying and making way for a newer you to be reborn. Okay, those who are coming behind you, those in your lineage, will all experience better lives because of the work that you're doing in this process here. Okay, this is why I call it death and rebirth, because you are essentially killing the older version of you, and you transforming not only yourself but your lineage as well, all right, into a whole new version as you heal and purge and release these traumas. Okay, so that's stage 3 there. At stage 4 is no man's land. Okay, no man's land, or the void. All right, I spoke about the void recently in another video. The void comes after the dark night of the soul. Okay, when you have done all the healing work necessary, when you have done all the purging, all the healing and releasing necessary of your traumas, now you go into the void. Okay, the void is now, you have essentially killed the older version of you, so you're no longer that older version, right? But yet you have not quite embodied the newer version of you. Okay, so you're kind of stuck in between the older version of you and the new version of you. All right, so this is why it's called the void, because it feels almost like a loss of identity. All right, you are no longer the old you, and you have not fully embodied the new you, so you're stuck in between identities. So it feels like you are in no man's land, right? It feels like you're lost, so to speak. Okay, because you've let go the older version of you, but you have not fully embodied the newer version of you, so you're stuck in between. Okay, another way to look at it is that you have unplugged from the old timeline, which is usually a lower timeline, right? You have unplugged from that timeline, but you have not yet plugged into the newer timeline. Okay, you are waiting in layover. You are waiting to plug into the new timeline, so you're stuck in between timelines. All right, and it feels a bit of confusion at this stage, because you've dropped all of these masks, and you've dropped all of these identities, fake identities that you embodied before, and now you're like, who am I? Who have I become? Okay, but you have not fully embodied who you truly are yet. All right, so you're stuck in between, and you questioning, who am I? So it brings forth a sense of confusion and a sense of identity, because it feels like you're lost, so to speak, right? You are in no man's land. Okay, you're not a part of this group, and you're not a part of this group. So where am I? Right, you stuck in the middle somewhere, all on the island, all by yourself. Okay, so that's the void, guys. When you get stuck between your old self and your new self. All right, but something magical happens here. Okay, something magical happens when you're in no man's land, because now it gives you the opportunity to truly find yourself. It gives you the opportunity to truly find and embody your authentic self. All right, this is where you've dropped your old identity, but you have not picked up your new identity yet. So now you're struggling to find your identity, right? You're saying, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? All right. And while you in the void, guys, it helps you. Okay, it helps you establish your true authentic self. It helps you establish your authenticity onto stage 5, which is the stability. Okay, stability or balance. Okay, this is where you've essentially grown into your spirituality. Okay, now you're living life as a spiritual individual. You're living life as a spiritual person. Okay, you have come to the understanding of who you truly are. You have come to the understanding of how this world operates. And so you've embodied your identity fully as a spiritual being having a human experience, and you are living a more fulfilled, a more balanced life. Another thing that happens here is that you feel a lot stronger than before. Okay, now you've built a stronger bond with God as you went through the dark night of the soul, and you learn to commune with God. You learn that you can communicate beyond this physical reality. And so you built a stronger connection with God, right? You established a stronger connection with God. And so you come out at this stage here now, you are well balanced, you are stable in your spirituality, and you essentially feel ready to come back out and live a normal life again, right? Because the one thing that happens during the dark night is that it turns you into a hermit, right? You go into isolation. So you hermit for maybe some years, some months, whatever the case might have been for you, all right? Depending on your experience, you stay in isolation for some time, and now you feel like you're ready to come back out and live a normal life again. You feel stabilized, you feel stronger, you feel empowered, you feel connected, and you feel like, okay, you are ready to come back out into the world and live a normal life. From here now, we go to stage 6, which is your purpose. Okay, serving your purpose. All right. Now, you don't automatically just jump out and start serving our purpose. Okay, at stage 6 now, you feel more balanced. Remember, stage 5, you're more balanced. You live in a spiritual life. You understand who your identity, what your identity is. You are a spiritual being having a human experience here. And so you come out more empowered, more powerful, more connected. You embody oneness. So when you go to stage 6 now, you don't automatically start living your purpose, because by then you don't know what exactly you're here to do. Okay, but what happens is you may begin to get glimpses of your purpose. Okay, you may begin to get pulled in certain directions. Okay, you may begin to take certain inspired actions in a particular direction. And the more you do these things, the more you do these things, you will receive confirmation. Okay, you will essentially be shown a lot more. All right, gradually, as you walk in a direction, as you take steps in the direction that you think you're being pulled into, that's when more of your purpose will be shown to you. Okay, so that's a way that your purpose becomes clear to you, not all at once, but gradually. Okay, you may begin to get glimpses, you may begin to get pulled in a certain direction, you may begin to get this push to take certain inspired action in a particular direction. And as you do this, the more you do this now, you begin to receive confirmation, and also you begin to get more glimpses of your purpose. The magical thing about this stage here is that as you begin to get glimpses of what you think your purpose should be, you don't seek someone else's opinion. You don't ask someone else what they think. You follow your heart. Okay, if that particular action, or if that direction that you considering going into, if it excites your heart, if it makes your heart sing, if it touches you, guys, then that's your confirmation that indeed that's what you should be doing. Okay, so At this stage here now, you're listening to your heart, you're following your heart, and you're listening to your intuition, okay? You will begin to get these intuitive nudges, all right? And as you head in that direction, you will receive confirmation through your heart, all right? By making your heart happy, by making your heart sing from doing what it is that you're doing, okay? This is the confirmation that you will need. You're not going to need an external source to confirm for you that you're going in the right direction. You're not going to need someone to tell you, hey, good job, keep doing that, okay? You're not going to need that, okay? You're going to tune into your intuition and you're going to follow your heart, all right? Your intuition tell you go this way, do this, all right? And as you do it, you will feel the confirmation through your heart, all right? And so that's stage 6, guys, your life purpose. And the more you go into this direction, guys, the more you will grow, okay? You'll be encouraged to keep going. You'll be encouraged to head that way. And the more you do it, guys, the more you grow into your purpose, essentially. You become very determined not to accept any more external influences, but rather follow your soul's path. Now it's becoming clear to you what your soul path is, and you've become determined to follow it, all right? No more external influences, no more external factors. You are determined to follow your soul's path, and you're going in that direction, and absolutely nothing will stand in your way. Now, each stage has its own different timeline depending on your experience, all right? I know for me, I'm still going through it. It's essentially an ongoing process, okay? So I awakened during the pandemic, all right? At the early stages of the pandemic, that's when I experienced my awakening, and it's an ongoing process since then, okay? So that's the 6 stages of awakening and how they unfold, guys. Also, we talked about Satori versus Kensho, okay? The 2 different types of awakenings: spontaneous awakenings and awakening through pain, or growth through pain, or trauma-based awakenings. So I hope I made it clear enough, guys. Take a moment to share your thoughts and your experiences in the comment section. Share your opinions. If there's something you would like to add, by all means, feel free to add it in the comment section. Also, share these messages with your loved ones. Let's all continue to grow. Each one teach one. If you're new here and you found this message helpful, then by all means, stick around, because there should be another video or another playlist popping up somewhere around my head here. Stick around and get more information on spiritual awakening. Other than that, I'll leave you here, guys. Until next time, peace, love, and more life.